Judges ruled the Sioux City Community School District Board didn't violate open records laws in denying a records request from former superintendent Dr. Paul Gausman.
Gausman and the school board had been locked in litigation over secret meetings, the meaning of open records laws, and a complaint filed by the board against the former superintendent. KTIV's Matt Hoffman has been following the story since day one. So Matt, what does the judge's ruling mean?
Yeah, basically it boils down to this. The judge's ruling means Dr. Gausman lost the open records lawsuit, but won part of his open meetings lawsuit. In other words, there are two separate tracks here. One lawsuit about confidential meetings, which the judge found to be improper, and one lawsuit about open records, which the judge said the district did properly withhold. Now, both lawsuits stem from closed-door meetings the school board held in January and November of 2022. Judge Jeffrey Neary ruled that only school board member Dan Greenwell violated the open meetings law during that January meeting. The meeting stemmed from a conversation Dr. Gausman had with two soon-to-be school board members in Des Moines, in which Gausman recommended someone other than Greenwell become board president, a conversation that Greenwell described as a, quote, bribe. Judge Neary found other school board members felt Dr. Gausman's behavior may have been unethical, and they were prepared to meet about it in private. However, the judge said Greenwell did not act in good faith and instead let his personal animosity towards Dr. Gausman cloud his judgment. Now, Judge Neary ruled Greenwell would pay $500 for violating the open meetings law and pay Dr. Gausman's attorney fees and court costs. Greenwell told me earlier today that he will personally pay the $500, but the school board's insurance, paid for with tax dollars, will cover the other costs. Dr. Gausman's attorney said they're owed just over $53,000 in costs, though it's up to the judge to ultimately approve the final number. The judge ruled the board did not violate the open meetings law at the other secret meeting, after which the board voted to file a complaint against Dr. Gausman's Iowa license, which state regulators have found to have probable cause. Now that brings us to the open records lawsuit that was dismissed by the judge yesterday. Remember, the open records and open meetings lawsuits are separate. In this case, Judge Neary found the school board properly denied Dr. Gausman's request for records and meeting minutes of the confidential meetings referenced in that first lawsuit. The judge wrote that Gausman failed to prove, a violation of Iowa law, and the judge dismissed the case with prejudice, meaning it cannot be filed again. While the costs were assessed against Greenwell in that first lawsuit, the judge found the costs for the second lawsuit are to be taxed against Gausman. Now, we received statements from both Gausman and Greenwell after we reached out about the judge's ruling. You can view those statements in full. They're on our website right now at KTIV.com.